Hey everybody, it's Lo and welcome back to my channel, Lo Without Limits. Today I want to share with you a little bit more about narcolepsy. So if you want to see that, then just keep watching. Alright, so if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I've been posting a lot about narcolepsy, especially since it's March and it's Autoimmune Disease Awareness Month. And today, the day that I'm shooting this, is Saturday, March 9th. So it's actually Narcolepsy Awareness Day, also known as Suddenly Sleepy Saturday. So I figured today would be a good day to shoot it, but of course I upload every Wednesday. So you're seeing this a few days later, but I just wanted to take this opportunity in this time of the year to share a little bit more about narcolepsy, and since I do have it and I've been living with it, and just kind of spread awareness and share that there are actually a lot more people out there with it than you may think. So I just want to start off by saying that narcolepsy isn't like you see in like comedies and everything. I think it's Mr. Bean who would just like fall asleep and get super tired. So when people think of narcolepsy and I tell them like, oh, well, it's because I have narcolepsy, then they think, oh my God, you just like fall asleep anywhere. Like, are you gonna fall asleep right now? No, because I'm on medication that just keeps me awake. But I have had a lot of kind of close calls with that, and I have been driving and I do get into sleep paralysis. So just a really quick background. I was diagnosed with narcolepsy in 2015, the end of 2015, when I was 20 years old. I'm 23 now, so that wasn't too long ago. And actually, I don't know how long I've been living with it beforehand. Some people say that it could be something that you're born with, or it's something that comes on later in life. Nobody knows what triggers it, and nobody knows what really causes it. Some people say that it could be from a strep infection or some type of infection that gets to the brain and just like throws something off. And I did get strep a lot growing up. I was pretty clean, but for some reason every few months I would always just get a really bad case of strep. So it could have been something that I was born with or something that came on as I was getting sick or just growing up. So as a baby, my mom thought she was super, super lucky because I would sleep through everything. My parents would take me to the Hollywood Bowl. I'm passed out. My mom was like, I have a great child. She doesn't cry, she doesn't whine at all. All that changed with my sister, who cried and whined a lot. But I was a great child and she thought, I'm so lucky. And then in elementary school, when I would be like dozing off and I'd be super tired all the time, my mom was like, you know what? She's a kid, she's growing, kids need their rest. Same within middle school, and then in high school, I was doing international baccalaureate classes. I was playing volleyball year round. So I would come home and I'd be tired and I'd want to fall asleep all the time, and I'd be dozing off in my classes, to where my Spanish teacher one year like called my mom and was like, hey, like she's falling asleep a lot, maybe get it looked at. My mom just thought she's taking hard classes, she has to take classes after school, she's playing volleyball, like it's just, she's growing, she's tired, like she's really spreading herself thin. And I hated that I would just take naps and I would come home and try to do my homework, and I would be sitting on my bedroom floor doing my homework and I would pass out. And I'm a very type A person, and I'm very like, go, 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 get all these things done. I can make all this list and I'm gonna get it done. And then to be doing all that and then just feel so tired and like fall asleep and then wake up an hour or so later, I would be so upset with myself, and like my anxiety would just be even stronger because all these things that I want to get done, all these lists that I had, well, I just wasted an hour of it napping. Like who wanted, like to me, that's such a waste of time. And then in college, it kept happening, and I actually started to get really bad sleep paralysis going into college. And at that point, my mom was like, okay, you're not playing sports. You're taking classes whenever you really want. Like your schedule isn't jam-packed. Something's an issue here. So I talked to my doctor about it. I did a sleep apnea test because they have to rule everything out beforehand. Don't have sleep apnea, which they were like, could have figured, but you never know. And then I had to go to a sleep study, and I slept there all night, and I had to take 5 naps throughout the day. And that is when they discovered that I have narcolepsy. So narcolepsy, your brain goes into REM sleep super, super fast. And REM sleep is rapid eye movement, and it's a lot of the times when you dream. So that's the only part of the night when you're sleeping that you're actually dreaming. And your body is paralyzed, but your brain is wide awake, just working, dreaming, doing its thing. All the other sleep cycles, I'll show a graph of like a normal sleep cycle here. All these other ones are when your body, you might be tossing and turning a bit, but your brain is out. So for me, after taking these studies, they saw that I went into REM sleep after 15 minutes. should take someone 90 minutes. They're in there for a few minutes, they have a nice little dream, go back and do all the other ones. I got in there so fast and I kind of stayed there a bit longer than I should have. So some symptoms of narcolepsy that I would experience were just a lot of sleepiness where I'd want to take naps, but I also get a lot of sleep paralysis, and sometimes that would come on to me at very inconvenient times. One time when I was driving and I had someone else in the car and they realized that I was kind of swerving. So I was in the carpool lane and you hear the going over the bumps and they're like, Lauren, wake up. They drove the rest of the way. So it happened then, and it would happen in class. I would be sitting in class, and I remember one like so vividly that my teacher, he was just like drawing like marks on the board. He wasn't like drawing anything specific or writing out anything specific, but he was kind of like reenacting something with these lines on the board. And in this classroom, there were doors on each side of the whiteboard, and then the chairs kind of like face that whole like wall. And I was sitting in the front row, and I saw what he was writing on the board. I was listening, I was taking notes because it was a super intense class, and all of a sudden the things on the board were just kind of like moving, just like these red lines moving. And I saw people like walking in and out of the classroom and just all these crazy things, and I was just sitting there like in shock, because I was like, what's real, what's happening, why are these things on the board moving, are people really coming in? And that's what's really hard about sleep paralysis, especially just during the day, is that you don't know what's real and what's not, especially when it seems so realistic. So thankfully, the guy sitting next to me, I knew him really well, and he was like, hey, wake up. And I remember I was like kind of drooling a bit, but my body was just frozen, and I just like was freaking out internally, like, is this real? What's going on? What's happening? And it also happens a lot at night. So even if you don't have narcolepsy, you may have experienced sleep paralysis at night where you're asleep and you're literally paralyzed and you can't move, but you think someone's in there, there's something on top of you, and you can't breathe. So I've also experienced that a lot. So it's just kind of like you're frozen, and my brain is like, are aliens real, or is this a dream? Trick question. But I was just like freaking out, and so this is happening during the day a lot. And basically what sleep paralysis is when you're awake, but REM sleep kind of comes on into you. So you're paralyzed and you're awake, but your brain is also like going into this dreamlike state that is REM sleep. So when those two things just collide, you really have no idea what's going on, and it's terrifying. Now into the sciencey part of it, of what is narcolepsy and what kind of causes it and how does it happen. So there's no real reason, or no known reason of what causes it. They don't know if it's genetic, again, if it's something that comes on with a disease, or if it's just something that you're born with and it starts to show itself either early in life or later in life. So there's not enough research on it of what causes narcolepsy, and because they don't know the cause, they can't really find a cure. So the medication I take is literally just to keep me awake throughout the day. It's not to cure it or to reduce the narcolepsy in any way. And now I'm no doctor or scientist, I didn't study that, but I do like to look at different research papers, especially on narcolepsy and different autoimmune diseases and disorders. And so I know a little bit through that, but again, not a doctor. This is just stuff that I've researched and that I know through the interwebs, not through any schooling. I studied television broadcast journalism. Quite the opposite thing. But I did take a few notes just so I can explain what narcolepsy is without screwing it up completely. What they've discovered is that it's caused by the lack of the brain chemical hypocretin. I'll write that out for you there. Also known as orexin, which is the chemical that regulates sleep in your brain. I believe it's in the hypothalamus. This deficiency is thought to result from the immune system mistakenly attacking parts of the brain that produce those chemicals. So basically my brain will produce the chemicals that will regulate my sleep-wake cycle. That is like, oh, I'm awake during the day, at night I sleep, at night when I sleep I have normal brain happenings, and while I have that, my brain automatically just like kills it off. Don't know why, it's just like, we don't need you. And I'm like, you kind of do. I would like it, but you know, to each their own, I suppose. So because of this, because the brain is attacking these chemicals, that's why it's classified as an autoimmune disorder. So people kind of go back and forth on that because they're like, oh, it's not really, since we don't entirely know. But if research and studies are saying that your brain is literally producing a chemical that's to help you, in your immune system, something in your brain is like, no. I like to think that's an autoimmune disease or disorder. So because of that, I do a lot of research on my free time on that as well. Also because my mom and her sister both have rheumatoid arthritis, which is also an autoimmune disease. So I know that if it is something genetic, maybe I'm genetically inclined to have an autoimmune disease, and that this is how it showed up in my body versus rheumatoid arthritis. Just living with it today. Again, like I said, I take a medication to keep me awake. So I take one as soon as I wake up and one around lunchtime, but I can't take it 30 minutes, like I can't eat 30 minutes before and after taking it, which makes lunchtime a little bit hard because I snack a lot. So from snacking it's 12:15, I'm like, okay, I gotta hold off till 12:45, then take my medicine, and then I can't eat like again till 1:15, and I like to eat, so it's kind of an issue. And I do try to take like little drug holidays is what they call them, where I just don't take it so my body doesn't become used to it, and I don't want to build up a tolerance to it. So today, since it is a suddenly sleepy Saturday, I did take my one this morning so I can be a productive human being, put my makeup on, shoot a video or two, and then I'm not going to take my afternoon one, and I'm just going to kind of live my life. And if I want to pass out at 6 p.m, so be it. I'm trying to do everything now while I have the energy to it. And another thing with this medication is that when I do decide to have children, I can't be on it. So speaking in the future, obviously I don't plan on having children anytime soon, but as soon as I start thinking about children, I need to come off of it so it's out of my system, and I can't be on it while I'm pregnant, and probably not while I'm breastfeeding either. So that is maybe like a year and a half, almost 2 years of just not being on my narcolepsy medication. And honestly, when I don't take it for a day or so, just it's actually like really hard just to like function, because everything I do is just like slower. Like my brain like doesn't pick up on things, and it's just like very like sluggish or tired. It's almost like if you haven't slept for like 2 days, you've been pulling an all-nighter or something, and it's been like 2 or 3 days without sleep, because that's how people with narcolepsy feel, is that like their brain is in this constant state of just like exhaustion. And you know, when you don't sleep for 2 or 3 days, your just like brain power is not there. It's just like things come to you and it's just like off it goes, just whoo, right over. So the thought of one day wanting to have kids, I'm like, I want multiple kids, so I'm gonna have to do this multiple times and not take my medication to just like live my day-to-day life. Like I should not legally drive without my medication, because I can't stay awake long enough. And there have been times where like I'm driving and I just like I couldn't do it. And when I first got my diagnosis for narcolepsy, they put me on a different medication at first, which at the time I was also still on birth control, and for the 2 months I was on that, I had a 2-month long period. TMI, but it was annoying. And I was still exhausted. Like I would get to my internship and I would like be so exhausted. I was at ABC 7, and across the street was Disney's Grand Central Creative Campus, and on that campus they had a Starbucks. So it was a block away. I remember one morning I got there early. I was like, I'm gonna go walk to Starbucks, get myself a coffee, and then walk back. And on the walk back, my body was just so fatigued. Like I couldn't do it. I had to sit on a bench for like 10 minutes before I could get enough energy to get back to my office and then take another medication, even though it wasn't time to take that yet. And there have been times, even just like at work a few weeks ago, we had to go on a Target run. I didn't bring my medication with me to take for the afternoon. And I didn't realize that the run was gonna take as long as it was. And I was like, I have to sit down. Like I'm gonna go sit over by the elevators, and when you guys are done, like let me know, because I can't physically walk around Target anymore. Like I'm dying, and like my whole body is just feels really heavy. It's like that feeling when your eyes get really heavy when you're so exhausted at night, except my whole body just gets so heavy. And I was like, I can't do it. But it is good that I'm aware of it, and I just do like listen to my body. Like if I can't do something, and if I'm exhausted, like I just need to go sit down, to not drive anywhere or do anything. And at the time when I was on the old medication and I would be driving back home to Orange County from Disney and ABC 7 in Glendale, I would have to call my mom and talk to her for the whole like 2.5 hour drive, just because like talking to her like kind of kept my brain awake and just like kept my brain a little bit more stimulated, and enough to get myself back to my house, which is just like craziness. And the thought that for a few years, like in the future, that I won't be able to have any of that it's kind of like hard to think about. So that's just where I'm at right now, is trying to hopefully build a career to where I can work from home and I can just like live without any medication, just live with narcolepsy, even though it is really hard. And like it's hard on work, even on those days when I do have to like post, like I ate a snack, so I'm like, okay, I do have to postpone a little bit before taking my second medication. But in that time, then like my body, like if it's 2 p.m. and I haven't taken it yet, then like my body is just exhausted. I'm like, thank God I just sit at a desk. So it is really hard, and like I am so young and I don't want to have to rely on it every single day for the rest of my life. So that is also why I like looking into autoimmune research, to find ways of eating and changing my life and changing my lifestyle habits in a way to reverse any type of like autoimmune thing, and hopefully ideally reverse what my brain is doing that is creating narcolepsy. And if I can do that, then it would be great, and it would be amazing to be able to live my life normally without having to rely on medications, and to be able to one day have a child and be pregnant and not feel like my whole life is just like lying in bed. Because that's also what I'm scared of, is like kids like take all the energy away from you when you're pregnant, and then not having any of that and like already being exhausted. It is just kind of a bit worrisome for me. So I don't know, it's just something I have to deal with, something I have to think about. But I just wanted to share my experience with narcolepsy and just kind of how I got diagnosed and how my life has been since then, and how my life is looking in the future. And it is hard, but I do hope to just continue to do research to expand what I know and share what I know, and hopefully eventually help out the rest of the narcoleptic community. And you know, when I do pass on, this is me saying that please donate my brain for research. Thank you. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you also have narcolepsy or any other type of autoimmune disorder, and if lifestyle changes or diet changes have helped you out at all. I would love to know that. Also leave any other like links. I love looking at different studies. I love looking on like PubMed and just like searching for different like narcoleptic research and stuff. So I love that. So if you have any of that, please leave it down below. I'll also leave a few that I really like looking at linked in the description box. And while you're down there, be sure to subscribe, because I do upload a new video every Wednesday. So until the next one, thanks for watching.